Today I'm going to make Tres Leches Cake, or Three Milks Cake. We'll be having Mexican a lot this week, so it's always good to have a Mexican dessert to go with it. So first thing I'm going to do is I need to separate my eggs, and I need 5 eggs, so I'm going to put 5 egg whites in my glass mixing bowl and 5 egg yolks in my metal one. This is a great recipe to make at least a day ahead of when you want to actually have it, because it does so much better once it's had time to sit in the fridge. I prefer to get brown eggs and to use brown eggs. That is because I've found that they last longer, and so I like to use them because I don't waste any of them. But when it comes to doing this, when you're trying to separate your yolks from your whites, it is a little bit harder because the shells are harder, so they're harder to get into. You run the risk of breaking your yolk, and then it's much harder to separate it from the white. Alright, there's my 5 eggs. I'm going to wash my hands real quick. And I'm going to set my egg whites off to the side. Don't need them right now. To my mixing bowl, I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar. So half a cup. 1 cup of sugar. And then I'm going to put on my paddle attachment. And I really like this one that has the silicone scraper on it. Let this mix together until a stiff ribbon has formed. Okay, so I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's a nice stiff ribbon coming off of there. Let's see if I can show you better. Let's see how it's ribboning. It's not going right back into the mixture immediately. That's what you're looking for. Okay, so once I've done that, now I'm going to add my vanilla. And I need 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to eyeball that. And you'll see little chunks in my vanilla. That's because this is homemade vanilla. So it's got lots of good stuff in it. I'm going to mix these together, and this is just to blend it. It's all we're looking for here. Okay, and now I'm going to add my flour, baking powder, and salt. So I need 1.5 cups of flour, another half, and then my baking powder is 1.5 teaspoons. One, and with your baking powder and baking soda, make sure you measure those precisely. Do not eyeball those. And then some salt. Half a teaspoon of salt. Alright, now we're going to let that mix together. Alright, you can hear how my mixer changed gears. So this is a very stiff dough at this point. Now I'm going to add my melted butter and my milk. So I have half a cup of milk, and a quarter cup of melted butter. Okay. And get those blended together. I'm going to give it a little help and scrape down the sides and the paddle. Make sure we get all of that thicker batter mixed in. So a trick with spatulas is if you run them, instead of running them this way down like a spoon, if you run them backwards, where the inside of the spoon is facing the wall of your pan, it actually is much stronger and will do a better job. Move this out of my way. Make sure we get the bottom really well. Okay, now we'll go back to mixing. Alright, so that's what we're looking for. You're still going to have some lumps. That's okay, it's going to be just fine. So, I'm going to sit this off to the side for a minute. And switch to my egg whites. So these are the 5 egg whites that went with the 5 yolks we used earlier. So you're not wasting anything and having to worry about where you're going to put those and use them. So what we're going to do is beat these until we have some soft peaks. Okay, so now we're at the soft peak form. So you can see we're nice and foamy. There's a little bit of collection on the end. That would be your soft peak. So now I'm going to put this back down, whack it, get it going again, and I'm going to add in my quarter cup of sugar. We're going to turn it up and let it go until it has firm peaks. Alright. Now, I would say that we're there. So see? You have this nice peak, kind of looks like a bird. I guess more like a penguin beak going on. And that's what you're looking for. So now I'm going to mix the two together. So I'm going to mix my bowl that had my eggs and sugar and all of that stuff in it. And I'm going to mix my egg whites into that. So let me show you. You want to be very gentle with your egg whites because you just put all that air in them, and that air is what's going to help your cake rise. So let me slide some things out of my way so I have more space. And We're gonna do like this. So the first thing you want to do is add just a little bit of your egg whites. And this is to slacken up your dough. So I'm going to use that, and this little bit you can be rougher with because you're trying to make this batter looser so that it's easier to fold in your egg whites. Alright, so there's that. Now we're going to get these mixed in. And the measuring cup was a bad idea because they don't come out of it. So, note to self, don't do that again. Instead, we're going to use our spatula. Some people do this in batches. I like to throw it all in. Simply because I feel like with batches, I'm going to overmix. And I'm sure there are people out there talented enough to prevent overmixing by doing it in batches, but I haven't been able to do that. Alright, so we get all of our egg whites in there. And now we're going to give this a fold. So go from the bottom and come up, and then spin your bowl. Keep doing the same thing. Get everything off of the sides. And you want to get these egg whites all the way mixed in. You don't want any streaking going on because that will give you a funny textured cake. Alright, so my bottom is feeling nice and smooth. Alright, so that's what we're looking for. Should kind of come off of your spatula pretty easy. Now, the next thing is to spray your 9x13 pan. You're welcome to use whatever you'd like to do this stage. I like to use Baker's Joy just because it saves me some steps and I've always had good results. And my oven's already preheated to 350. I'm going to very gently put this into my pan. You want to get your bowl as close to your pan as you can because the drop from your bowl can even cause your egg whites to get flat. So you want to be very gentle with them. Alright. Now we're just going to very gently smooth it out to the edges. Don't do a lot of pushing down. Be really gentle. You can see those air bubbles. That's wonderful. That's exactly what we want. Get the excess off of my spatula. Get that smoothed in. Alright, now this is going to go in the oven for 30 minutes. And while that's happening, I'm going to go ahead and mix the milk sauce that will go on top of it when it's hot. Okay, so it's been about 30 minutes, so I'm going to do a quick check, see how we're going. You want your cake tester to come out clean. Perfectly clean, so I'm going to pull this out. and let it rest for just a minute or two while I mix up my milk mixture. So now I'm gonna add a little vanilla and then mix this all up. Okay. You want to whisk it together so it gets nice and smooth. Right, so now we're going to take the end of our spatula and poke a bunch of holes in our cake. This cake is still really hot. It's only been out of the oven maybe 5 minutes. And that's what you want. Then I'm going to take my milk mixture and pour it right over top. And it's going to soak into all those holes and become lovely. It looks like too much mixture. Use it all. You need it all. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cool to room temperature, and then I'm going to put it in the fridge overnight. So the cake has had time to cool to room temperature, and you can see it's soaked up all of that liquid. Now I'm going to make some whipped cream real quick. So I have 2 cups of heavy whipping cream in my mixing bowl, and I'm adding half a cup of sugar. And we're going to whip this until we have stiff peaks. Okay, so now that we have nice stiff peaks, we're going to bring it over here and put it on the cake. Okay, can't really do that one-handed, so I'm going to put you away for a second. So now that you have your whipped cream on top, you're going to sprinkle it with a generous portion of cinnamon. And then some granulated sugar. You don't want to skip this part. This crunchy cinnamon top is part of the best part of it, because you don't have a lot of flavorings in your cake or obviously the milk. So you need this topping to really set it off. Alright, so that ends up being probably about, say, 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon and 1/8 cup of sugar. So then put this in the fridge overnight. You can eat this immediately if you'd like to, but it is better if you refrigerate it. So refrigerate it for at least an hour, if not overnight, and then enjoy.